Good morning to one and all present. Today, I stand before you to deliberate upon a concept that has sparked significant discourse in the corridors of Indian democracy: one nation, one election. This proposal advocates this proposal advocates for holding simultaneous elections for both the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies, replacing the staggered electoral cycle. While the idea promises several advantages, it also introduces certain challenges that must be carefully examined through the lens of political theory and democratic governance. The arguments in favor are: one of the foremost arguments in favor of simultaneous elections is the significant reduction in the fiscal burden. As Winston Churchill once remarked, saving is a fine thing, especially when your parents have done it for you. In the Indian context, frequent elections strain the exchequer, diverting resources from crucial development programs. Simultaneous elections would reduce this expenditure, allowing the government to channel public funds towards welfare, infrastructure, and social schemes that directly benefit citizens. Moreover, the theory of rational choice, popularized by economists such as Anthony Downs, can also be applied to voters. According to this theory, individuals make decisions based on maximizing personal utility. By consolidating elections, voters could be more motivated to participate, knowing that their single vote will impact both national and state governance, leading to higher voter turnout and enhanced political engagement. Additionally, as argued by Joseph Schumpeter in his theory of democratic elitism, elections are a method through which citizens hold their political elites accountable. However, frequent elections often divert policymakers from long term decision making to short term populist measures. Yes, yes. In India, where elections are held almost every year, leaders often find themselves caught in a cycle of campaign promises rather than focusing on governance. One nation, one election would mitigate this, as political elites would have a stable 5 year term to focus on policy outcomes without being constrained by constant electoral pressures. Furthermore, the administrative burden of holding multiple elections each year is considerable. The Election Commission, security forces, and government machinery are constantly engaged in the conduct of elections, detracting from their core functions. In the words of Woodrow Wilson, the method of political science is the interpretation of life. Its instrument in insight, a nice understanding of subtle, unformulated conditions. From this perspective, holding elections simultaneously would allow the state machinery to function more efficiently, focusing on governance and development rather than electoral logistics. Despite the evident advantages, one nation, one election faces significant criticism. The most crucial concern is its practical feasibility within India's federal structure. Alexis de Tocqueville, in his seminal work Democracy in America, emphasized that a functioning democracy must be responsive to both local and national concerns. By consolidating elections, there is a risk that local issues will be overshadowed by national narratives. Regional parties and issues, which often reflect the unique socio-economic challenges of different states, might find it difficult to secure space in a simultaneous electoral process. This would dilute the federalist spirit which forms the bedrock of Indian democracy. Moreover, Arend Lichpart, in his theory of consociational consociational democracy, pardon, consociational democracy, I don't know, okay, highlights the importance of power sharing and consensus building in pluralistic societies. In India, with its vast ethnic, linguistic, and cultural diversity, exemplifies this model. Frequent elections allow for constant negotiation and renegotiation of political power among various communities and interest groups. By holding elections simultaneously, we risk imposing a uniform political rhythm that may not align with the diverse needs and aspirations of various states. Additionally, the logistical challenge of conducting elections for both the Lok Sabha and all state assemblies on the very same day cannot be ignored. Conducting such a large scale exercise across a country as vast and diverse as India would require unparalleled coordination. Robert Dahl, a prominent political theorist, warned against the over centralization of democracy, stressing that too much concentration of power could lead to inefficiency or even undermine democratic processes. Simultaneous elections could strain the administrative machinery to an extent where inefficiencies, delays, or even unrest might arise, jeopardizing the very sanctity of the electoral processes. Furthermore, the constitutional amendments would be required to synchronize the terms of the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies. Constitutional scholar Granville Austin, in his work on the Indian Constitution, described India's system as a seamless web of rights and responsibilities. Any attempt to alter the electoral calendar would impact the delicate balance between the center and the states, leading to potential conflicts. The introduction of simultaneous elections would necessitate careful consideration of the constitutional ramifications to ensure that it does not weaken India's federal structure. In conclusion, the idea of one nation, one elections presents a complex yet intriguing reform. While it promises economic efficiency, administrative simplicity, and political stability, it also risks eroding the federal fabric of the nation and ignoring regional voices. As Dr. Savarapalli Radhakrishnan once wisely stated, democracy is not a system of majorities, it is a system of multiple and balanced interests. This observation is particularly relevant to a diverse nation like India, where any major political reform must respect the multiplicity of interests and across the states and communities. The debate over one nation, one election is not merely about efficiency versus democracy, but about how best to balance these competing imperatives. It is a matter that requires extensive deliberations informed by principles of constitutionalism, federalism, and the theories of democratic governance. Only through broad consensus and careful evaluation can we arrive at a solution that enhances our democratic system without undermining its foundational values. Thank you.